it's kind of a double.
Ah.
What's happening
So there we're dealing adjacent strings?
Yeah, we're dealing with a couple techniques in a row there. So what's happening when I pull off this string with this finger, because there's so much strength behind it, with that other finger on there, it hits the string underneath it and actually plays that note. So you
Almost
actually
like
get
a rake?
Yeah, it is actually a rake, and it ends up as kind of a half rake, half hammer-on. So you're going to have to coin a word here. What do I, a raker-on or a hamake or whatever, or a ham-hock maybe. So you get this like flurry of notes.
Sounds like almost like flamenco guitar.
Or flamingo guitar. Then you have to do that on one leg though. So you get like, that's just kind of an inadvertent technique that comes from applying a lot of strength to your hands. And once you just, my whole purpose in a lot of my exercises and moves is just to create a machine out of my hands so they do, you know, what they have to do on their own. Then I can just kind of direct them from another spot in my mind, you know, so I don't have to really think about what I'm playing. Once all the exercises I show with the left hand and all the right hand stuff, once you build up your hands to a good machine, you can stop thinking about it, because when you think, when you're playing, as you probably well know, you're lost.
So you're talking about learning your left-hand patterns, your right-hand patterns, and finally putting it all together to the point where you don't have to think about it.
Yeah. As I said, when I found out all the things I was doing, it was only after I had actually done them for a long time that I actually sat down and figured out, oh, my finger's on the other side there. No wonder. Because naturally, when I'm playing live and the band is real loud, you can't hear anything, and I'm pressing out hard, the natural thing you want to do is press harder. So out of nowhere, this finger just came around and started doing it like that.
With the help of its assistance of the
next door neighbor, you might as well help him out, you know. So, you know, it kind of naturally occurs like that, and it's kind of a natural evolution of thing. And so then, again, a lot of this stuff began, I played in a three-piece band for almost my whole life, and so we always had to cover for other players. So I would, the hammering things, like in Schizoid Man, we used to play by King Crimson, that one. There's a soprano sax trill right in the middle of like that. So I had to get
filling
that
in the
there.
missing part.
Yeah, so I always had to fill in the extra guitarist or keyboard player. So that's where things like, what was it, a double octave?
Yes.
Basically.
That almost sounds like a pianistic technique.
Yeah, it's kind of a, well, if you locked your...
Or a drum pattern.
Yeah, it's drum patterns, whatever you might want it to be. Well, it's basically just drum rudiments, tapped on. Have you ever see a piano player when they do like octaves? Sure. They kind of lock their hand in that little octave thing so that their fingers will always hit. And so I kind of do the same thing. Again, trying to, it kind of looks kind of Star Trek-ish, I know, but lock my fingers together like that, so it's an octave.
Right.
And then this hand, the same thing down here. It's not the same position for me personally, just because that finger doesn't fit there as well. But I try to double up on this finger to get that low note to sound really well, and I just hit like if you're just riding along on an A.
Just right at groove.
A little more interesting way of doing it, rather than
more colorful, more energetic.
Yeah, and they can move it around to them. And any drum rudiment you end up doing. And then from that, I got into fifths, where you can actually tap fifths too, where you do. Individually tap, and you can also individually tap the octaves too, and any kind of rhythmic pattern you can think of, and then you can get into all kinds of.
Now, in that case, what's going on?
Actually, it's just a E minor chord. So I take these two of that, and take these two outside ones.
Aha! Break up the chord.
Exactly. Now. So anything you can imagine chord-wise. Yeah, I think you can imagine chord-wise, just in your mind, split it up, and it's easy to experiment with. But again, rather than show you what notes to play, or try and have people, I mean, who wants to play the stuff I'm playing anyway? But rather than try and show you what notes to play, I'd much rather be able to show people how it is that's gotten, and let people use their own imagination to come up with their own moves and stuff. So if you understand the idea of that strength, the rhythmic thing, the attack, be able to hit down on the strings to get a good good solid, keeping it on the neck at all times, of course. Anything you can imagine you can do in there. So once you get the actual hand technique down, because so many people try and show people what what notes to play, but I think if you really know the technique and come up with your own notes, probably be a little happier,
And basically, that's what we've been covering is techniques, and hopefully that they'll lead to the creation of a new style, as they did in you with somebody else, using the same foundation type techniques.
For someone to take whatever they want from me, and hopefully they'll come up with something better and expand on a thing. Because every time I said, I saw Billy Gibbons do that, I thought, how great. And that eventually turned into all that stuff. Actually, all I got was one little thing from him. So hopefully, whatever anybody gets off me, they can extrapolate, I love using that word, from that, any kind of, concoction they can imagine.
One last point. What about tapping